So here's the deal. Okay. I'm pro nuclear energy. Period.
Yes.
I say shut down every coal producing power plant, any power plant, nothing. Did you know that a shoebox sized nuclear reactor could power an entire city block for 3 generations? 3 generations of human beings. And always everybody gets the same response. But what about Chernobyl? Okay, first of all, Chernobyl was multiple decades ago, and it was the Russians. Did you really expect them to take all the precautions necessary in order to make sure that it didn't melt down? Did you know that every single aircraft carrier in our Navy is nuclear powered and has been since the mid 80s? Have you heard about a single problem on a single one of them? Did you know that every single one of our submarines are nuclear powered? Have you heard about a single problem on a single one? No. Did you know that there's one downtown Boston in MIT? I bet if people really knew about that, they'd really freak out. But there's been one in MIT for the past 20-something years.
The ratio of accidents to actual amount of how many nuclear power facilities in the world is tiny. You hear about it because it's bad, it's
rare,
horrible, but it's rare. It's also rare. It's also rare. It's safe. It's safe energy. That's one of the things that I don't agree with the Green Party, because they want to get rid of nuclear energy. It's safe. It's been proven by scientists that nuclear energy, it's safe, it's clean, and you can do it quickly. We have the technology. Make it happen.
And do you know what immediately stops whenever you use nuclear energy? Drilling stops. Not across the board, right? Because there's as you notice, we're slowly making the move to electronic vehicles. We're slowly making the move to electronic vehicles. Every year, more and more electric vehicles get made by each manufacturer. And the price of those electric vehicles drop year over year, over year, over year. The main reason a lot of people don't go electric vehicles is the cost of getting into one, right? Because Tesla was the first one that came out with all these electric vehicles. Teslas are expensive. A normal, everyday, middle-class American cannot afford a Tesla, or two if they need a multi-car household. It's just not functional. More and more people are coming out. Amazon said by that 2022 or 23, their entire fleet of vehicles are going to be electric. All their delivery vehicles are going to be electric. Electric vehicles have come a long way. If we can move to electric vehicles, and we can also move to 100%, which will probably never happen because there's people out there who want to drive their old pickup truck from 1970. I don't care. The amount of oil that will take is far less than us running off fossil fuels for our energy, right? And we don't have to be 100% sustained on nuclear, but we could run this entire country off, I think, 3 or 4 full-size nuclear reactors. We could run our country off 4 of them, and it would do away with all the power plants that we have. It would simplify our power grid, and we wouldn't have to worry running off fossil fuel. We wouldn't have to worry about running off coal, whatever the case may be. But it would require a huge investment in our infrastructure from our U.S. government, right? It would require money to be moved from somewhere else to here, and then it would require them to be built. And where's that money going to come from, right? So you talk about a reduction in military spending, right? A 10% reduction in military spending could fund these nuclear power plants.
Yeah, it would be easy. It's doable. There's a technology now for any new buildings and houses. Put up freaking solar panels, solar roof tiles. The cost is almost the same now. The technology is there. It just needs to be pushed by different things. And it's necessary. And this is what people don't get. People keep telling, well, Biden incremental change is better than no change. No, you can't do that with climate change. You got to do it now. You cannot have incremental change. Joe Biden had his shot at incremental change when he was VP and when he was in the Senate, and it didn't work. Why? Because he said, we're going to stop using coal, and coal emissions go down, but guess what they did? They started fracking all over the world, and natural gas emissions started to go up. So it's a wash. We still, during the Obama years, emitted more carbon than we did in the 90s. Incremental change.
Here's the problem.
When it comes to climate change does not fucking work.
No. Biden's had 40 years where he can make incremental change.
Tons of time.
So has Pelosi.
Yeah,
they've been in office for forever, for longer than I've been alive. They've been in politics.
They will keep telling you that they listen to scientists and they believe in science and that they're better than Republicans. The carbon emissions do not say that.
Stop what you're doing. Stop with coal. Build nuclear reactors. Go nuclear. Done. That's the answer. Because here's the deal. If you rely on people to put up, everybody talks about, oh, we can make these huge, solar farms, right? It's not efficient. Sure, a couple people here and there will put up their own solar panels and run off their own grid. At the end of the day, we need something that doesn't cause people to have to do anything.
And that it's quick.
Nuclearize. Build a nuclear reactor. And let's run off nuclear power. It's simple, it's safe, it's efficient. It runs for generations. In fact, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier doesn't have to refuel for 75 years. And by refuel, it just means come in and have it repaired. Just have it looked at. Have it maintained for 75 years. 75 years. You understand what that means? That means we no longer have to be blowing into mountains. We don't have to be cutting down trees. We don't have to be digging across and making, fracking is efficient from a drilling perspective, but it's terrible for our infrastructure because it causes these huge cracks. These huge cracks, and then of course the chemicals they use when they shoot it down into the rock, gets into the water. It's horrible. It's super efficient when it comes to looking for oil. By the way, if you're in the oil industry and you looked at what we did before, which is just go straight down and hope we hit it, versus now being able to go straight down and across and search for oil, it's incredibly more efficient. But it is not good for our environment. It's not good for the water. It's not good for anything like that. It's not good for the vegetation. Go nuclear. We need a pro-nuclear president, and I haven't heard Trump say a single word about nuclear power. And when you talk to people about nuclear power, they get these wide eyes, like they're scared. They're like, "Oh no, that'd be a terrible idea." And I'm like, "Do you understand how much nuclear we actually already use and have been using for the past couple of decades?" I don't think you do.
Yeah. So what I will do, because I think it's important for people to know about this, we'll post a link to a really good podcast that talks about the risks of nuclear power. It's a scientific podcast. You'll have the experts talk about it instead of two jerk-offs in their home office. But yeah, I mean, simple, and Democrats who they say are pro-people, they should be embracing the crap of the Green New Deal. Instead, they distance themselves from it, which is a terrible mistake. It's a terrible mistake. But they're clearly going for an exceedingly small segment of population that is afraid of new taxes and that still care about the oil and gas industry. It doesn't make sense. And that's my biggest problem with what elections have turned to and why you're not excited about it. I'm not excited about it. 100 million people were not excited about it in 2016, and they will not be excited now in 2020 because they're not looking for new voters. They're not exciting people, and they're just relying on blue and red.
Nuclear power, guys, vote. Well, there's not a single party out there that's gonna run the platform of nuclear energy. It's freaking retarded. I don't understand what everyone's fear is about nuclear power. I don't get it. Everybody's like, "Oh no, not nuclear." Well, shut up.
It's the easiest way to get there.
Oh my gosh, it's efficient. It does not pollute. It runs forever.
Taken, France gets 80% of their energy from nuclear energy, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, what if one explodes? Well, what if the Earth explodes?
Right. Ukraine gets 47% of their energy from nuclear. Slovakia, 56%. France, 76% of their energy comes from nuclear energy. The biggest issue is the waste disposal, but there are a lot of the different solutions for that.
You don't have to dispose of the waste very often.
No. It's not like it happens every day. So it's also it just takes a long time.
There is a nuclear reactor here in the United States. If you drive by a nuclear reactor and you see what's coming out of the top of a nuclear reactor, it's steam.
Steam.
It's water vapor. Because what happens is, let me tell you something. We think we've come a really long way in the way of building energy, but we really haven't. The only thing, so you talk about a steam engine, right? Back in the day, a steam engine, right? A locomotive steam engine. And we talk about the boats that used to run the Mississippi River being run by steam. The only thing that's changed is how we produce the steam. Steam is still is what's moving aircraft carriers through the water. The only difference is that steam is now being created by a nuclear reaction, a controlled nuclear reaction, which is much more sustainable. Same thing has to do with a nuclear reactor. It's still creating steam because heat is energy, and that steam is used to produce energy. So it's just water vapor coming out of the top of a nuclear reactor. It's just water vapor. It's not plumes of black smoke that you see coming out of power plants or anything that's coal produced. At this black plume that's coming out of there. We should absolutely move to nuclear energy. If you really understood how many things here in the United States are actually run by nuclear power, you'd be a lot less fearful of it. It's come a long way from that meltdown in Chernobyl.
And this is how safe it is. This week, actually, a 12-year-old kid built a working nuclear fusion reactor, and he broke a record. So he holds the Guinness record for the youngest person to achieve fusion.
Was he Persian?
12 years old. That's how safe it is. That's how safe it is.